Let's discuss a player who's a part of that elite group. I don't know about elite group, but the top level of quarterbacks. You have Bryce Young. You have C.J. Stroud. You have Richardson at Florida. So you have these names. And then there's Will Levis. Well, how about this? An anonymous post on social media triggered a rush in a betting action on Will Levis earlier this morning. Bryce Young remains the consensus favorite, listed at minus 1,400 by Caesars Sportsbook. But multiple sports books reported a huge surge of bets on Will Levis to go number one, causing the Kentucky quarterback his odds to move from 40-1 to 4-1. That was at DraftKings. Apparently, there was a post on Reddit where somebody mentioned that Levis, I don't know if he had said something or whatever, was going to go number one to Carolina, or Carolina was going to take him, and now that is the difference between 40-1 and 4-1. So if you got in early on the 40 or 35-1, you're in pretty good shape if that happens.
Well, I don't think it is. I think it's going to be Bryce Young. I mean,
it still says Bryce Young is the favorite.
Yeah, Bryce Young is probably the one to go there. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, Carolina's been, I think, less than secretive the last couple days about what they want to do. The wild card and all this stuff, all of a sudden it turned into the Texans, who I don't believe for 1 second that they're not taking a quarterback. I really don't. I just think that they're trying to see if they can get somebody to trade them picks that it's in the top 5 where they could still get a quarterback, because maybe they know that, like, okay, if Bryce Young's off the board, he was our favorite, we're indifferent between the other 3, so let's see if somebody will move up and take one of them, and then we can do that. Plus, I do think that with the Cardinals at number 3, and they can easily move out of that spot because they've got money tied up in Kyler Murray. They don't need one of those quarterbacks. They're trying to maybe keep their position strong at number 2. Even if they do stay there and wind up getting a quarterback, they want to be able to take that down to the wire and see if they can get max value for that pick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really look all that deep into, this one, other than, so it's been entirely quiet surrounding him, and 2 days before the draft, all of a sudden the guy on Reddit's the one breaking this big news. I mean, I guess that's how it could happen. I guess if you really wanted to stay anonymous and shake the world up or fleece Vegas, by getting everybody to pour money on those odds, then, cool mastermind type of project. But I just don't see the juice here. And I'm not, in any way, shape, or form an expert on anything that's being talked about there. But it just seems like, pre-draft drama and everybody kind of just being on eggshells and, looking for news and wanting news and expecting crazy things to happen. And I don't know. I just needed a bit more to chew on than an anonymous Reddit post. But, I mean, I saw it said that he's plus 4,000 to be the first overall pick. Well, ladies and gentlemen, he's telling friends and family Carolina will, in fact, take him on Thursday. You're welcome. I believe that was the official post there. So, yeah, I mean, apparently people have rushed to go put bets down, at least some segment of people, and they'll be handsomely rewarded, or they're going to, feel duped when this is all said and done. But, yeah, that's interesting, but that's definitely some of that pre-draft drama and speculation that you get in the couple of days leading up to it. So we'll see. But I'm with Paul. It's just hard to figure the Texans aren't going to take a quarterback at number 2, regardless of who that may be. So, I mean, it's possible, but I just wouldn't feel comfortable placing that bet right now.
If they don't, and they pick somebody else with their first pick, and they have what's their next pick?
They have 2, 12, and 33.
Okay. Yeah. They're 12. You're really risking not coming away with any of the ones that are at least known as first-round picks. Doesn't mean you're wrong, but you need a quarterback. Then you have 3 or 4 right there. You would think that's going to happen. You could trade down and still get another pick or 2, and then also get whoever might be still there.
Well, I think that there are 5 overall quarterbacks that people really like consensus-wise, as far as we can hand the franchise to this guy potentially, and it's the 4 you mentioned and Hendon Hooker. Hendon Hooker started to climb up those charts a little bit, so maybe the Texans think that they could get Hendon Hooker later, but I don't think Nick Caserio is bold enough to be like, no, we're going to take, an edge rusher at number 2 and a wide receiver at number 12, and then at number 33, Because you do, like, you can plan that people might trade with you, but you can't depend on it, right? You can't say, definitely somebody's going to trade with me, because you could call all 31 teams and tell them, here's what we want for pick number 12. And they all 31 could be like, no. You know, you don't know. So you can't plan on that. So I do think that it would be very bold for them in that second pick to not take a quarterback. Also, maybe very telling about what DeMeco Ryans and the new staff think about the other quarterbacks that are available.
Yeah, that could always be the case, too.
It's entirely possible that this has some merit to it. Pete Prisco, who's covered the NFL for a long time, he was, I guess, saying in an article today that, you know, the quietness around Levis isn't emblematic of the real talk in the NFL circles, that he is a guy that people are high on. And, I mean, clearly he's been talked about as like a relatively high first-round guy for a while, so it's not like he's been super disrespected or anything, but I think he does get lost in the talk of the other two higher, more talked-about guys in Stroud and Young. So I think he gets lost in some of that. But, yeah, I mean, even if he doesn't get picked like number 2, he's going to be picked within the next, 5-10 picks?
Yep.
So, you know, he's in that range where it's not impossible that could happen. It's just weirdly dropping a couple of days before, and again, for what reason behind that, who knows? But if it is somebody's just like, hey, let's go screw Vegas, everybody on board, here's my little piece of intel, then that's cool, and that will certainly make for a memorable moment. But if it comes and goes, you know, I'm sure everybody will just one in ear and out in one ear and out the other, like a lot of stuff we see on the internet. So yeah, that'll be a fascinating little subplot for bettors, I suppose, coming up on Thursday.
And by the way, all of the various places, not just Caesars, but DraftKings, among others, are having a pretty good surge on those betting for Will Levis to be the number 1 pick. That's not the overall, because Bryce Young still is at the person who's there. While we wait for Matthew